Hello, guys. This is Nick Christophers again from Mob Tales. Thank you guys for checking in. Today's guest, we have a very good friend of mine, great actor, one of the best I know, Lou Martini Jr., and we'd like to welcome you to the show, Lou.
Thank you for the very kind words, Nick. And
Hey,
I'm not sure that's you because you look like you're incognito tonight with the hat and the glasses. Is that really you?
it's always me. This is my style. Every
Okay.
week.
I thought maybe you owe somebody some money too and you don't want to be seen.
Well, that's true too.
Happy New
Uh,
Year's, buddy. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
yeah. Same here, buddy. Of course. Well, I want to just tell a little bit people about, who you are, what you've been doing. Lou's been an actor for years. This is what he does.
1964.
1960, the year I was born, no less.
Hmm.
Um, so he's been, around a lot, did a lot of plays, TV shows, Law and Order, Manifest, Sopranos. Forget about it. He's all over the place. He's an amazing actor. He's very talented,
Thank you.
very involved in the business, and knows a lot about the business. And maybe he can give us a little bit of a breakdown about how he got even involved in acting to begin with.
Well, like I said, I started when I was, wee big. I actually still have my first paycheck from 1964. It was a Disney production because the pay stub says Buena Vista Productions, which was Disney back in the day. I don't remember what it was, but thankfully I did get paid for it because I have the pay stub. But what happened was I really come from a show business family, Nick. My whole father's side of the family were actors and singers and entertainers and song and dance guys. So I was at it at a very young age. And I pretty much was working steadily as a child actor up until I want to say The Godfather was probably my last gig, and then my father passed, and shortly after that my mom decided, she was a single mom, and she's got to work. She couldn't take off work to take me to auditions and things like that. So we made the decision like, hey, we got to survive too. So pretty much I didn't start acting until I got after college. But yeah, I think The Godfather was my last gig as a child actor. Yeah, time to think of it. Yeah. So that's how I got involved. I grew up with it. I mean, I still have memories of my dad used to be the MC at the Copa in the late 50s and the early 60s, and he was friends with everybody, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., all the big guys. And I have memories. I mean, I have great memories of like Red Skelton in my living room, doing Clem Cadiddlehopper to me and stuff like that when I was a kid. I mean, it was just, I had an amazing childhood show business wise, as far as the people I met and worked with and things like that. So, yeah, that's how I got started in the business. It was in my blood, I guess, from a very, very young age.
So, would you say you got inspired by your father and about the people he had around him, like Dean Martin and Skelton and all them?
Well, you know what it is, Nick? When you're young, I was just having fun. I mean, who knew what I wanted to do at that age? If I wanted to stay in it and do it, I mean, I was just having fun. So I enjoyed going to work and going to set and having fun. But basically, as I became a little bit older, like in my high school years, I'm an avid sports fan. You know that. I mean, I'm a sports nut. I'm a hockey nut, and I thought about going into sportscasting. And I went to school for communications. I went to University of Houston, graduated with a degree in communications, and I had a job offer to go to Pikeville, Kentucky. Now, if you go to Pikeville, Kentucky today, it's basically a suburb of Cincinnati. It's a metropolitan area. Pikeville, Kentucky, 1984 is just like it sounds. Pikeville, Kentucky, 1984. It's a different ball game. So I said to myself, man, do I really want to go to Pikeville, Kentucky? I'm 23 years old. I go start out on this whatever journey it's going to take me to sportscasting world. Or, you know what? If I'm going to struggle, maybe I should struggle amongst family and friends in New York and pick up the acting again, get a headshot, get a resume, study, pick up kind of where I left off and stuff like that. Because I figured I was a little nervous about, struggling and starting out in Pikeville, Kentucky, when I thought New York would be a lot easier. That I know New York was not easier because of the business that I'm in. It's just not an easy business to go into. But that was the decision how I went back into the acting. Is I had to choose between the sportscasting route in Kentucky or acting in New York. But Nick, if you were able to snap your fingers today and say, okay, Lou, you're the sports anchor on ABC in New York at 6 and 11. I would take the job. I'd be very happy. No regrets. I'd be very happy if I had a career as a sportscaster.
Well, I'm just curious about the Godfather thing that you did as a child. How did that even come about? That was through your father, right? Because
Right. My father, a lot of people, right. My father, a lot of people know this story and I have to put a little note on that with did you get to see The Offer on Paramount, the making of the Godfather series?
Of course.
I mean, what I'm going to tell you was validified by the TV show The Offer. I jumped off my couch. I think I spoke to you that night or the day after when I heard it. But my dad was hired. He was actually hired to play Luca Brasi in the movie.
Yes, I remember that.
Now, the story went in my family, and there's no one around for years in my family to validate the story, the facts of what happened. But I remember when I was young being told that Daddy was going to play Luca Brasi, but he got sick either in rehearsals or on the set, was taken to the hospital, and died a few days later of a stroke, and he had lung cancer complications. He was all banged up. So for years, this had been the story in my family. So one night I'm watching The Offer, which is a fantastic series. I recommend it to everyone. If you got Paramount Plus, go and see it. It was great. But there was an episode where all of a sudden they talked about my dad, the actor that got sick and passed away and had to be replaced, that had been hired to play Luca Brasi. So when my dad worked back in the day, if you put on The Godfather right now and you put on the wedding scene, you're going to see 30 of my family and friends in the wedding scene. When my dad worked, everybody worked. He made sure everybody worked. Matter of fact, my very first Law and Order, the prop guy comes up to me. His name was what was it, Frank? I want to say Frank Curtis or Frank DeCurtis. Very, very nice man. He was the original prop guy for Law and Order. He came up to me, he says, "Can I ask you a question?" He says, "Lou Martini." He says, "I know that name. Are you related to Lou Martini, the actor?" I says, "Well, yeah, that was my dad." He says, "I got to tell you, your dad got me my first SAG card." My very first Law and Order, like somebody came up to knew my dad, because my dad took care of everybody back in the day, you know? So that's how I got into the acting, really, was when my dad worked, I worked, my mother worked, my aunts worked. He made sure everybody worked. You do that back then. You can't really do that today.
Well, your father was an actor, or was he an agent as well?
He was an actor, a singer, a song and dance man. He had, as a matter of fact, another bad break. I mean, you could call The Godfather a bad break because he got a stroke and passed. It would have been a big job for him. But he had a vaudeville group called the Three Racketeers back in the late 20s. And they were very, very, very hot. They were like in the top 2 or 3 vaudeville groups in the country at the time, touring the country. And they had just signed a three movie deal, 3 picture deal with, I don't know what company, I don't know if it was Universal or whatever, but he had signed a 3 picture deal to do 3 pictures with the Three Racketeers. The week that they signed that contract, his main partner was having an affair with Frank Nitti.
Frank Nitti?
I mean, Frank Nitti, with Frank Nitti's wife or girlfriend. Yeah, not Frank Nitti.
That's bad enough.
That would be a bigger story if his partner's having an affair. But he was fooling around with either Frank Nitti's wife or girlfriend. And a couple of days later, they found him in an alley, shot in the head. They tried to replace him with a couple other replacements. They lost the movie deal, and that was the end of the Three Racketeers.
Wow.
Frank Nitti shot, yeah. And you can look that up. That's I got a couple of articles in the I want to say the Miami. I think it was in a Miami paper. It might have happened in Miami, if I remember. It was in a paper.
That's cool.
Yeah, his name was Pete Clifford. Pete Clifford was the guy's name. He was the straight man in the act.
Well, it seems like Lou Martini Jr. somehow has been infused a little bit of mob. A
little.
A little bit.
I grew up in Queens. I grew up in Queens with Queens too. But I've being an Italian American and being in show business, they're always around. You're always around it. I mean, I could tell you stories about guys coming on sets and asking people to change names and stuff like that. I mean, it's one of those businesses that the organized crime fellas just they enjoy being around and being involved. I don't think it's as much today as it was back in, Sinatra's day and those things, up until, when Gotti came and pretty much, ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, but organized crime had some honor and loyalty to it, if there ever was such a thing in organized crime, but there actually was. They're a lot more involved in stuff than they are now.
Yes. Well, your role in The Sopranos was Johnny Sax's brother-in-law, which how did that come about? How did you get that part? How did you?
That came about as interesting. And also now I'm the only actor that actually had principal work on Godfather 1 and in The Sopranos. As I said, my father got me a job. I was a little guy running around in the house in the wedding cake by James Caan in The Godfather. But Sopranos, I had auditioned, let's see, I think so. It was the 13th audition that I got the role I got. So I had auditioned 12 times before. So at this point, I'm just thinking, oh, I got another audition. I'm not going to get it. You know, they like me, I guess, but they don't like me enough because, you know, I keep going in and I'm not getting it. So I auditioned for 2 roles. I auditioned for Little Carmine, which was played by the great Ray Abruzzo. Great, wonderful guy, wonderful actor. Did a terrific job. And the role that I got, Anthony Infante, which is, you know, the eyeglass salesman with a heart of gold. So I went into the audition, and David Chase was in there in a room full of producers and stuff like that. And I did what I do. I did the 2 or 3 scenes. I nailed it. Again, I just left it alone because you don't think anything. But I'm one of those actors. Once you leave the audition, I'm not going to go home and fret over it and lose sleep over it. I mean, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. The only thing you can control is your performance in that room. You can't control anything else. That's what you could control, is what you can do. So I go home, and a couple hours later, I got the call that I got it. And I was like, I got it? You're kidding? Fantastic, I got it. So I wound up doing 5 episodes as the character, and it turned out to be a great job. And, you know, some of those guys I had known for a long time. Vinny Pastore was a buddy of mine for a long time. But interesting enough, I didn't work with any of my buddies. I got to work, all my scenes were with James Gandolfini, who became a buddy, and Vince Chiarottola, Johnny Sack, because I was a go-between. If anybody's familiar with the series, when Johnny was in prison, I'd go talk to Johnny, and I'd go talk to Tony. When he wound up in the hospital, I'd go talk to Johnny in the hospital and go bring stuff back to Tony. So I did 5 episodes. It's a fun character, really fun role, fun time. 15 years ago. Is that amazing?
Wow, it's a long time.
2006, I was on Sopranos.
Well,
That's what it ended, 2006. It's been off the air 16 years, basically.
yeah, it's crazy. I can't remember that long ago. But the role, I mean, playing with the late James Gandolfini must have been amazing. I had the pleasure of also meeting him 2 or 3 times. He's a really sweet guy, nice man, very down to earth. What was it like working with somebody like him, who's, you know, award-winning actor, and it must have been exciting.
The first amazing thing I found out about him and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves as an actor, because a lot of times, especially with Italian American actors, and they're playing gangsters or thieves, they just think it comes natural to us. Okay. The thing about Jimmy, the very first scene I ever shot with him, and he was so gracious, because I was in a car accident on the way to set. I got hit in the back. So I was a mess to begin with. And then they sent me to the wrong location. I went to the wrong school, which was 8 blocks away from where I was supposed to be. So when I finally got to set, I was like this, and I thought I was getting fired. He calmed me down. Me and Lou, we heard what happened. You're cool. Welcome to the family, buddy. He was so generous and so kind, you know, that very first day. So a couple episodes later, to tell you how generous he was as an actor, we were doing a scene out in the parking lot. And we were talking about the stuff that was going down in New Orleans. Something was going on with New Orleans. So we were trying to make a deal with Johnny and him and New Orleans guys. And it had just started to rain. It was like maybe 8 o'clock at night. It's the last shot of the night. It's my close-ups. And you know, the crew is tired and they want to go home. And I did like 1 or 2 takes, and I wasn't happy with it. But I was not going to ask the director, being a new guy, you know, on the scene, hey, Henry, you mind if I do 1 or 2 more? I know everybody wants to go home. So Jimmy saw this and said, hey, Lou, you want to do a couple more? You want to try a couple of things here? I said, man, I'd love to, but I know everybody wants to go. He says, let's get it till we get what you want. And he turned to the director, Henry, and said, Henry, I want to try a couple of things with Lou. I just want to do a couple more shots. That's the kind of guy he was. Totally took the hit from me. You know, the crew wants to go home and stuff, but if Jimmy G says, hey, you know, guys, I know we want to go home, but I just want to do 2 or 3 more quick ones, and, you know, because he knew I wasn't happy. Well, that's James Gandolfini in a nutshell, you know.
Yeah, that
he was like the Papa Bear on set, man. He made sure everybody was happy, taken care of, you know. As long as you're doing your job and doing great work, man, he had your back, man.
Yeah, it's a shame what happened to him.
Great loss.
Yeah, that's for sure. You did a lot of, you've done like some work on Law and Order and Manifest and all that. Well, before I even get into that, because you mentioned something earlier that's interesting, that a lot of directors or producers, once they have an Italian actor who's playing a gangster or whatever, they automatically think they know what they're doing. They already have their role kind of comes naturally, so to speak, which is
Mhm,
kind of wrong to begin with.
mhm.
But in your opinion, because have you ever, I don't even recall, but I don't think you ever had a role like that. Did you ever have to play a role like that? Were you ever like approached to play that type of role and kind of maybe said, nah, this is not really not me or anything like that? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, it comes along where you get an offer to do something, and first you get the audition, then you read the script, or you read some more of the scenes, and you're like, wait a second, I don't think this is something for me yet. It happens. It's I would say it's rare. Matter of fact, I just turned something down the other day. I turned down a movie the other day because I read the script and it was okay, and I didn't want to put the time and effort into it because I just thought it was okay. It's just at this point in my career too, you want to do good work also. You don't want to just do schlock for the sake of doing schlock and a payday. I mean, a lot of people do that. You got to work, you got to pay your bills. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm lucky. I'm lucky enough. I'm at this point in my career where I can turn things down if I don't want to do it. You know. But it's funny. I got to play a guy that I actually knew one time. This has got to be about. This is probably around the Sopranos time, maybe 15 years ago, whatever. I did one of these Discovery ID shows, and I forgot the name of it, but I get a call to play this role of a bookie. And the story goes that this bookie had his wife killed by either him or his brother. To this day, they don't know, by either him or his brother, because she was getting to leave him and rat him out. Well, he was my bookie in college. I knew the guy. So I'm like, wait a second. What's the guy's name? This is Houston. This guy was my bookie. They're like, are you kidding me? They're like, who could play him better than you? I says, exactly. It was my bookie in college. I knew the guy. This will be fun. I called up all my buddies in Texas. They're like, are you kidding me? You're playing Bob? And at that time, when I shot the thing, he was still on the run. They hadn't found him. He was like in the Netherlands or something. Long story goes, they wound up catching him. He got prosecuted along with his brother. His brother said he hired him to do it. He denies it and the whole thing. But that was pretty cool, getting to play somebody that I actually knew. So, but yeah, I played some gangsters before. Played some mobsters before. Yeah, like I said, as an Italian American, you can't avoid it. They come to you guys. They come to us guys.
Right, yeah, of course. Especially, but those roles, were they before The Sopranos or after?
Both, both. I mean, Sopranos was a big break for me. You know, I mean, I've been working steady now. I haven't had since Sopranos, which is what? Okay, 2006. So it's 16 years now. I've made a living as an actor, writer, director, producer. I haven't had to go bartender or anything like that. I make a living at it, which is great. And yeah, Sopranos, I got a lot of notoriety. But also when I was doing the Sopranos, I actually had another show at the same time. I was hosting of one of the first. I hosted one of the first reality shows on the E channel called the Gastineau Girls. I don't know if you're familiar with it. There was a football player, Mark Gastineau, from the Jets.
Yeah.
His ex-wife and daughter were these. They were like the first Kardashians. They were the Kardashians before the Kardashians. They were New York socialites. And I was supposedly their doorman, and I would narrate what they were doing every week. And I got more run from that show. I almost got my own sitcom with NBC because somebody saw me in the Gastineau Girls one night from NBC. And that was happening at the same time. That was a very strange time for me to be on Sopranos and be hosting the Gastineau Girls at the same time.
Wow.
That was pretty wild.
Well, if you what you're currently, I mean, I know what you're kind of doing currently because we are kind of working together. But what is it that you're looking to do? What is your goal currently with not only your acting but your own work, your own projects, which I know you do have.
Right. Well, have you talked about your project on the show, or do you talk about it, or?
Do I talk about it? No.
Yeah. No, you don't. Well, you should, because it's a very good project.
Well, yeah, but because when I'm interviewing other people, I don't really talk about it.
Right.
It's at the end of my show. We do advertise the books I've written.
Right.
I don't really talk about it much because I'm not interviewing myself.
Right. Well, I can talk about it, right? I mean, I could, because it's on the forefront of what I'm doing right
Oh,
now.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I met my partner, who you know obviously well, Tony D'Antonio. We've been friends for like 30 years. And she hired me to do a movie of hers about 10 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago. And we decided to partner up as producers because we had the same interests. And she had a couple of scripts and I had a couple of scripts. It's like, why don't we partner up and see if we could produce a couple of things? So that's how the producing started, to try and create work for ourselves, not only as producers and directors and writers, but to act, because as you get older and stuff, it gets harder. It gets harder to find the roles. So why don't we try and create roles for ourselves? So one of the scripts that I came across was your wonderful script, which was 9,000 pages. The first pass that we read it though, but Tony and I loved it immediately. It's a wonderful story, wonderful characters, Rich. We partnered up with Nick and we're pitching it right now to some people. We have some interest. We just came back from LA at the end of November. We had some meetings with it, and hopefully, God willing, because there's a lot of stuff that has to go right. It can't be just about, oh, well, it's a wonderful script. There are a lot of wonderful scripts there with wonderful people attached that never see the light of day. So hopefully we're working hard with my partner, Tony D'Antonio, and it's called Destinies from Nick's books. It's a fabulous story. And hopefully you'll see it soon, because that's on the forefront. I'm actually shooting a SVU on Tuesday. I have the recurring role of Ron Fredo. I play a lawyer on SVU. I do a couple episodes a year. I'm doing another one Tuesday, which will be on in a month. What else? I got Nora from Queens on Comedy Central. That should be coming on next month. I did a guest spot on that. So, and then, like I said, we're pitching and writing and trying to produce some of our own projects. We have a Christmas movie in the works that we're trying to produce. So we're trying to stay busy.
Yeah, but you don't you have also another recurring, if I'm correct, an recurring role on Manifest?
Not anymore. No, that storyline. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you did. You were.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw you on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I was I was a guy by the name of DeBacco, and I was a
Right.
PBA lawyer, but I was actually one of the ex people trying to get what's her name? What was the character's name? Wonderful actress too. She was really, really wonderful. But the lead in the series, I forgot her name, but she's wonderful, great girl. Trying to get her killed. I did 3 episodes of that last year, but they didn't resolve it. They caught my boss, locked him up, but nothing ever happened with me. So who knows? But yeah, I just did a recording on Manifest too.
Okay, that's awesome. But you also have another project of yours that I know about called Honor.
Honor, right? Honor is my baby. Like Destiny's is your baby. Honor is my baby. Honor, I wrote with 2 buddies of mine. I wrote it about 5 years ago, and we've been really, really close to making it a couple of times. One time we had Joe Bologna set to direct it, and he passed away, unfortunately. Then one of the writers passed away. So it's been a bumpy road, but it's a wonderful story about a family of dysfunctional cops in the 80s. And it's my baby. It's my Rocky, that kind of thing. I wrote it for me to play one of the leads. And we're still working on that. And hopefully maybe sometime next year, we'll be able to get that done. But like I said, it's rough. It's rough out there.
No kidding.
COVID didn't help. COVID didn't help with people, investing in the entertainment business. That's for sure. But
Right.
we're pushing, because I really believe in the projects that we have, like Destinies and Honor, in my Christmas movie, or Brooklyn Christmas, that we're working on. So I keep the faith, man. You got to keep pushing. You just got to keep
That's
pushing.
right. That's for sure. Now, just for people that are watching that are possible actors, aspiring actors, or so forth, is there anything you would like to share with them on their, I guess, journey?
Sure. First of all, and Nick knows this is one of my pet peeves. Okay, if you want to call yourself an actor, put the work in. There's so many guys out there that just watch a couple of TV programs, watch a couple of movies, and they say, "Hey, I can do that." Yeah, you can do that. Can you do it well? Can you do it consistently? Probably not. Like anything, man. If you want to be a great plumber, you want to be a great artist, you want to be a great basketball player, you got to put the work in. So for anybody out there that wants to act, put the work in. Go study, take classes, do student films, learn what's going on a set. Learn things about the camera, learn things about directors that you may be working with. You know what I'm saying? Be on time, know your lines, be professional at all times. It's very, very, very difficult business. I always say that this much is the talent, right? This little bit is the talent, and the rest is the luck. You know, if you have this much talent and you're able to hook up the talent with the luck and the opportunity, you're okay, because talent will sustain you. You know, there's a lot of guys out there that get their break and they're gone in a year or two because they couldn't sustain it. They didn't have the talent, they didn't put the work in. But really, if you want to act, you act. If you want to write like yourself, you're right. You just write and write and write and write and write. You want to direct? Go direct some student films, direct. Shoot some things on tape and direct, and learn how to use cameras and things like that. You got to put the work in. Unfortunately, one of the lousy things in our business is, and I blame this on Mr. De Niro and his crew, back in the day when they shot what's the Bronx movie, Nick? Forgetting the name
Bronx
of it.
Tale?
Bronx Tale, okay. At that time, the casting director was told not to look at any headshots or resumes from professional actors. They just wanted street guys, real guys. And that started this thing now where, a guy could be a retired sanitation worker and he's getting a part over a guy that's been in the business for 30 years because of what he looks like. You know, it's a shame. It comes down to that a lot, where it's just, I'm not cool with it. You know, and a lot of the actors that have been banging our heads against the wall, you know, again, if we don't work, we don't make our insurance. We don't pay our bills. But you're going to give a role to a guy that retired, that's got 2 houses on Staten Island. It's just not right. That's one of my pet peeves. So if you want to be in a business, do it the honorable way too. Put the work in, because when I say I'm an actor, I'm proud to say I'm an actor because I put the work in. I've acted. I've worked at it. I've studied. I've paid. I've walked the streets, handed out headshots and resumes back in the day. I paid my dues. I'm an actor. So if some retired sanitation worker comes up to me and says, hey, can you put me in your thing, whatever like that, it's like, you know what, go take a couple acting classes and audition for me. Let's see what we can do. Just put the work in, man. Put the work in. Pay your dues. Pay your dues.
It is something that came.
I'm off my soapbox now. Let me step off my soapbox.
No, it's all good. It's all good. One question I did want to ask you, because of what you just mentioned. Would you agree that the entertainment industry, film industry per se, is very saturated at this moment with the coming up streaming and this and that has changed the playing field?
The good thing about it is there's more opportunities because there's so much need for content. You know what I'm saying? You have so many channels now, so many outlets. So there's this constant thirst for content. One of the bad things that has happened, and I'm going to jump on my soapbox, to this business and to this nation, in my opinion, is the abuse of the word diversity. Anybody should go look up the word diversity in a dictionary and see what it means. It means include everybody. Unfortunately, businesses like our business happens to be one of the main culprits. There are people in our business that are not included anymore. They have over-diversified by not including everybody. So when you get older, especially for older women now, I mean, it's gotten better in the last 5 years. There are actually roles now, and the great, some of the great networks like HBO and stuff like that, they are now, Lifetime has made it a staple of their content. They want strong leading women roles, older women roles. And that has helped because 5 years ago, unless you were, Meryl Streep, there was no roles for a 50-year-old actress. They've been pushed aside, just pushed aside. So there's things like that. The business goes through phases like anything else. Hopefully this is a phase. But again, that's why my partner and I partnered up a few years ago to try and create content for ourselves. Things that we thought we should have been hired for that we weren't because it maybe went to someone else. Well, it's like, well, you know what? Let me make something like that, and let's see if I can produce it, and I'll get to do that kind of role.
Okay.
That's how I came up with writing Honor. When I wrote Honor, I wrote 3 main parts that I could play because I knew I would age if I didn't get it made right away. I wrote a father, an older brother, and a younger son. And when I wrote the thing, I was going to play Tommy, the younger brother. And when we almost did it 2 years ago, I was going to play Johnny, the older brother. And now I'm at the point where if somebody says, hey, Lou, you know what? If we get two nice names that are younger than you, would you play Jack the father? Yeah, okay. But that's why I had like 3 safety valves for myself.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. But I'm about 5 years away from not being in the damn thing. Put it that way. Come on, I got to get it done.
Yeah, really.
There's no grandfather role in it.
All right, Lou, listen, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Definitely wish you a hell of a lot of luck. You know,
Thank you, buddy.
Even though I'm a little bit part of that luck.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to happen, man. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And this is great. I give you credit. You're doing a podcast. It's great, man. Get your fotch out there. You got to get your fotch out there. Get your stuff out there. Let people know who you are. Because first of all, you're a talented guy. Everything you do turns to gold, and you're a good guy too. That's the main reason we're partners. Because if you were a Duturu, I wouldn't want anything to do with you. There's plenty of Duturu people come around and say, hey, Lou, I got a script. It's about a guy, he meets a girl, and then he screws his sister, and, hey, no, that's okay. We'll pay.
I don't blame you. Thank God.
Thanks for having me on, buddy. Good luck with your show and everything.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lou. Great having you.
Thank you, buddy. Take care, guys.
You too. Well, this was Nick from Christopher's with Mob Tales. It was great having Lou Martini on the show. Please subscribe, share, like, comment, whatever the heck it is. Just keep us in your thoughts. Thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.